Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Thunder podcast. My name is BT, and I'll be your host today. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about the playoffs and what's been happening in the playoffs so far, and then the Oklahoma City Thunder and what we are going to look like in the playoffs. So today is April 20th, 2025. Sorry we're late, guys. I waited a little bit today to see what the Oklahoma City Thunder was going to look like in the playoffs. And today they faced the Memphis Grizzlies for Game 1. And it's turning out exactly what I thought it would be. Right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are dominating the Memphis Grizzlies. Dominating. So, right now, the score is 63-37. In the second quarter with 30 seconds left. And the moral of the story is that the Grizzlies, although they are a talented team, they have two major issues that they're going to deal with in this series. Overcoming the OKC defense is going to be a huge challenge because they really don't have the personnel to take advantage of the Thunder's defensive scheme. Right now, the Thunder are running their two big lineup with Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, who are both 7-footers. And they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's 6'6", Jalen Williams out there, who's 6'5", and Lou Dort, who is 6'3". So that's a pretty tall cast of characters for the Thunder. And in comparison, the Grizzlies have Zach Edey, who's 7'4", pretty tall. Jaren Jackson Jr., who's 6'11". Desmond Bane, who is 6 foot or 6'1". Ja Morant, who is 6'2". And Scottie Pippen Jr., who is also like 6'2". So they just have a smaller lineup in comparison to Oklahoma City Thunder. And that gives the Thunder the ability to use their size as an advantage and to be able to use their physical gifts, their size, strength, speed, to lock down and get very disruptive on the defensive end to make it to where it's hard for the Grizzlies to execute their offensive scheme. But the Thunder's hands are just everywhere. Every time they try to drive, somebody's reaching their hand out to try to contest. Every time they try to go for a layup, there's people at the rim with their hands up. It's just hard to overcome the size difference in this matchup. And I know people are thinking Zach Edey is 7'4". You know, he's the tallest player on the court. Shouldn't that also provide them with some type of advantage? Well, in this series, it doesn't, because Chet Holmgren, even though he's smaller, is lengthier, or just as lengthy. And he's able to use his hands along with another 7-footer behind him and Isaiah Hartenstein. They're able to disrupt any type of action that Zach Edey is trying to do. And he's not a super skilled offensive player because he's a rookie. Most of his shooting attempts come from the fact that Ja has to give him the ball. Ja Morant, who's the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, has to give him the ball. And when he's right next to the rim or underneath the rim, there's two bigs down there. They're already there with their hands up, contesting any type of shot that he's trying to get off. So it just makes it very tough. And their best player in Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., they're just not as effective. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not a really good rebounder. So every time any of his teammates miss a shot, they don't ever really get second chance attempts to shoot the ball again and continue the play because there's not too many good rebounders on their team, and that affects their ability to get more points. The Thunder, Chet Holmgren is an amazing rebounder. Isaiah Hartenstein is a great rebounder. Shai's a good rebounder. Jay Williams is a good rebounder. So whenever they miss shots, they're able to catch the ball again and set up another play to try another attempt at scoring the ball, which is showing because they're almost up by 30 points. Rebounding is one of those things that are overlooked, but it's super important in basketball. You need somebody who can rebound the ball and get you back second chance points or second attempts. because the more you shoot, typically, the more opportunities to shoot, the more points you will score. So yeah, rebounding is a very big struggle for the Memphis Grizzlies. And then also, I would say Ja Morant, their best player at the point guard position, their star player. Our defense is perfectly meant to create challenges for a player like that. He's a small guard who uses his speed and athleticism to get around players. Well, that works very well, but when you have very big defenders and some of the best defenders in the league all on one team, even somebody as talented as Ja is going to struggle, because Jalen Williams, who's 6'5", who's bigger than him, bigger wingspan, and just as quick, it's hard to get around a player when he's guarding you and he's everywhere. So you can't just drive in and try to get your shot off because he's already there in front of you with his hands up, blocking you from seeing and trying to block you from passing the ball and creating turnovers or by stealing the ball from you. Same thing with Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. They're very good defenders. They stay in the front of Ja. Ja uses his speed. That's his thing. Ja uses his speed to go downhill to get past you, but these players are just as quick and they're staying in front of him. So he's struggling right now. I think he only has 11 points, which is good, but it's hard for him to get his teammates involved because he's not able to pass the ball and help them create opportunities to get in the rhythm within the game. And right now, Ja Morant is just shooting the ball as much as he can to keep his team afloat, but that's not how he's going to win the game in a series like this. In a series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're going to need all your personnel. And Ja's not shooting the ball particularly well either. Like, he's 1 for 5 from 3. And he's also 4 from 11 from the field. So he's struggling a bit too. As for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're playing pretty well. Overall, the whole team is very much getting into like their style of basketball, their brand of basketball, sharing the ball, trying to find the best opportunity and looks to score. Isaiah Hartenstein has 14 points right now. Jalen Williams has 14 points right now. Chet Holmgren has 9. The bench players, Cason Wallace has 2. Aaron Wiggins has 11. Isaiah Joe has 3. Jalen Williams has 3 points. Like, everybody's playing well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the star player, arguably a top 3 player in the NBA right now, has 9 points. He's struggling a little bit as well, but it's not because necessarily that anything that the Memphis Grizzlies is doing. Don't get me wrong, the Grizzlies are making it tough for for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to score the ball. They're focusing their defensive efforts to make sure that Shai can't really get to the rim, which is what Shai's really, really good at. They're using Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. to funnel and deter Shai from scoring at the rim by layups or dunks. So Shai's having to settle for mid-range jumpers and three-pointers. So they're making it tough for Shai, but I also just presume it's going to take Shai some time to adjust to how they're playing defense on him. And next game, or probably in the second half of this game, you'll see a better performance from Shai. But he's still playing pretty well overall. He's doing the opposite of what Ja's doing. Ja's trying to shoot the most shots and beat this team on his own. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is passing the ball. That's why he has 4 assists. And trying to get his other players involved so they can help beat this team as a collective instead of as an individual. And it's paying off for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this game is probably going to end up being a wrap. They're down by 30 points. If they came back, that'd be the biggest comeback in history. A team has never been down 30 points in the playoffs and came back. So it's safe to say that this game is finished, and this is a good showing for the Oklahoma City Thunder in their first game of the 2025 playoffs. Real quick before we close, we're going to talk about the Clippers versus Nuggets series a little bit, because that's the two teams that OKC has a chance of facing in the second round, assuming that they beat the Memphis Grizzlies in this first round. So the Clippers versus the Nuggets is going to be interesting for OKC based on just the one game that they played so far. That was a very, very tough series. The Clippers were so defensively strong, at least in the first half of that game, that it's going to provide some difficulty against the Oklahoma City Thunder if that's the team that makes it through. Their offense was pretty good. Like I said, again, in that first half, looked excellent. It's just the second half is where the Clippers struggle, and they became very stagnant in their offense. Players like Norman Powell could not find his shots. Zubac, even though he's playing excellent in the first half, the second half, it was harder to get him layups and easy shots around the basket to take advantage of smaller size players. And James Harden, who was excellent in the first half, I think he was the team's best scorer in the first half, it was also cooling down from his performance in the first half of the game. But even still, that team is going to be tough to deal with if that's the Oklahoma City Thunder's matchup, because they're just a pretty holistic team, meaning that they're pretty complete on both ends, the offensive side and the defensive side. They got great defenders in Chris Dunn, Kawhi Leonard, and Zubac, all three different sizes. Chris Dunn's a guard, Kawhi's a small forward / power forward, and Zubac is a center. So it doesn't matter how OKC tries to get it going. They got those players at each position that are pretty good at guarding any type of size player. And then their offense, led by James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, is going to be tough to keep up with too. James Harden is one of the best playmakers in basketball. Kawhi Leonard is one of the best scorers in basketball, and trying to contain their production is going to be a lot. But Oklahoma City's defense, we're going to test it out against a really, really good team to see if we can keep up. Then, speaking about the Denver Nuggets, the winner of that game, they came back from a 15-point deficit in their third quarter to win in overtime by a possession by 2 points. That team is it could be the hardest matchup that OKC will face in the West if they end up playing the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, for those who do not know, is considered the best player in basketball for the last 3, 4, 5 years. He is unlike any other player we've ever seen, and arguably the best offensive player that's ever touched the court in the NBA. His playmaking, his scoring ability will be just a challenge in general, even though his surrounding cast may not be that good, because he is so good he can elevate them to make to utilize them effectively to make them even more dangerous than what they are. That's what he did yesterday. He was getting players involved like Russell Westbrook, where he passed him the open three, and then Russ shot the three and made it, and he was the reason why they were able to go up late into the fourth quarter with under a minute left. Because the Jokic is so good that everybody focused their defensive attention on him that they left Russell Westbrook wide open, and he capitalized on it. Not to mention players like Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon are going to make it tough for OKC too, with their size, their physicality. The Nuggets is one of the few teams that are bigger than the OKC Thunder in the league, so it's going to be hard to keep up with their offense and their size. But we just have to see where those cards may face or land for the Oklahoma City Thunder. With that being said, I think we're going to call it for this episode of the Talking Thunder podcast. I'm your host, BT. Please be looking out for our podcast next week, and we will talk to you guys later about some more Oklahoma City Thunder news. Peace.